Watch! Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Second Watch. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We're back. I'm back. Gary's back. We're looking forward to tonight's conversation. We have a lot to talk about. We're happy to see everybody in chat. Gary, how was your Thanksgiving?
Man, can I just, I haven't told you yet. Okay.
No.
Let me
Okay.
explain my Thanksgiving. We go to my brother-in-law's house. My brother-in-law is a chef. He's been to like 2 different culinary schools that I can't pronounce. Then his friend came over, who's also a chef. And when he came in the house, he handed me pure honeycomb on top of habanero cheese that he made on top of a homemade crouton, and I've never had anything better in my fucking mouth in my life, dude. It was the greatest thing. And then the younger brother, my second brother-in-law, shows up, who, guess what? He's also a chef.
Oh, damn.
God damn, dude. My Thanksgiving was badass. So we still have leftovers. It was great. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Did what we typically do. My wife's grandmother, country woman, grew up in the country. When she was 15, she was pumping water from a well. Great cook. So it was a country living, country meal. And then my best friend and his family and my family, we took a trip. Something we've been talking about for a few years. We took a trip to Mexico for a few days and drank for free and ate for free for like 3 or 4 days. I discovered the Paloma. I think that's my new favorite summer drink. It's like grapefruit juice, like lemon or lime and soda, and then tequila with like a salt rim. It's delicious. Anyway, so it was good. We got a super chat real quick. $1 Aussie dollar from Mercurius. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Good to see you. But yeah, so before we get into some of the stuff that we've been doing this past week and things we want to talk about, I just got some quick news. Venture Satanis has 5 days left on his Kickstarter. Pulp Drenched Cities of Chult. It's a city system book inspired by Zach S's what the heck's it called? Vorenheim, which came out in like 2011. It looks cool. It's a city generator book. I backed it. Check it out. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So 5 days left on that. Another friends of the Second Watch, the Red Room. They just recently announced the end is nigh for their online web store. I guess there's issues with like the way taxes work in Portugal, so they're moving everything. All the PDFs are going to be on itch.io, and the physical books will be on Lulu. There's a sale going on, is my understanding, until the 30th, and then it's done. So go check that out. And one last thing for all of you who've been awesome for us here. YouTube, if you pay attention, if you've been paying attention, it does a lot of weird stuff with the algorithm. It honestly looks like they're moving to a shorts model. I don't know what that's going to mean for people who focus on live streaming, and that's kind of what I planned on doing this year, and that's what we've been doing. If you have a Rumble subscription, please go to Rumble and give me a follow at Gaming with Lord Mattias. I also have a profile, Lord Mattias. Give a follow on both, just in case weird stuff happens here at YouTube. If you don't have a profile or whatever, an account over at Rumble, please go make one, just so we have an alternative. And one last thing, Facebook.
Congratulations, Flint and Fire Forge is going to be a grandfather. Sorry, I got to interrupt you. That's the most important thing.
Oh yeah,
That's the most important thing any of us can say. Flint, congratulations, man. I'm real happy for you. Congratulations.
congrats, man. That's awesome. Very cool. And
No.
well, that's good news.
No,
There's
I
some
just
news.
who can't be excited about a baby, man? Anyway, congratulations, Flint. Have fun being a grandpa.
But yeah, so Rumble, that's pretty much it as far as news. Other than Gary and I are talking about doing a massive giveaway stream on the 26th of this month to sort of celebrate a year of the Second Watch. We've had a lot of fun. We love you guys. You guys have been so great to us. And we want to do something for you. We haven't worked out the details, but there's the beginning. We'll give you more as we work things out. I can tell you a copy of Barrels and Borderlands will be involved. So
I also I'll preview my giveaway. Some 800 pages, Weird Frontiers DCC, and other stuff. Actually, I got a whole book. Let's get rid of all my shit.
I got some stuff too. We can go nuts that night, really, honestly. But we'll work out the details. So with that said, this week we got some gaming in. In fact, it was last night.
Well, was it gaming? Here's the thing. Was it gaming? I feel like it is, because I feel like character creation is play. I don't think character creation is necessarily separate from play, because I'm having fun while I'm doing it. And we were kind of world building, right? I mean, so anyway,
love you, Disco. Thanks for being on Rumble.
Hey, real quick, Disco, we didn't I know you did a Yard Dog Brothers and Sisters and all that, and I don't see it. I love you, man. Thanks for being here. Yard Dog Brothers and Sword Sisters, hope y'all had a great week. Looking to chill. Congrats, Flint. I suppose the giveaways are only USC. Hey, at my ear trumpet, most likely. It depends. And Matt said giveaways. I was thinking more along the lines of send me a super chat and I'll fucking send you this book.
Gary, that's why I said we're still working out the details. I didn't want to okay. Anyway, we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. I mean, if I can get it past customs.
Right. So anyway, yeah, we did. We you and I and Better with Bacon and Crispy Tablerunner got together. And we did a session 0 for a game that I don't know if we ever intend to play, but essentially what happened is I watched a session 0 of one of Crispy's games. And it was really intriguing because they were sitting there creating the world together. They were talking about what they wanted to get out of a game and what kind of a game they wanted to play, and it was collaborative. It wasn't the DM showing up and saying, "Hey, I want to play, a Star Wars game, or I want to play this, or I want to play that." It was, I just saw them sort of, I want to do this, I want to do that. How do we make all this work together? And I had a lot of questions about it. And I actually sent Bacon a message. Yeah, it was a session 0 for a game that may or may not happen. But I had a lot of questions about it. And I asked Bacon, and then Bacon put me in contact with Crispy. And Crispy was like, well, hey, let's just do it. This was about a month ago, I think. Crispy was like, let's just do a session 0. So we did. And it was interesting. I wish Crispy were around in the chat. Bacon's here, but it was interesting. It really did start with hold on. Oh, Chubby's got a shit on shit. I'm not trying to shit on you guys, but I just feel like it was a conversation.
But you're gonna.
Guys talking about they would like to see in a setting. And what pains me is that there will be no output. Well, Chubby, the whole point of that, like I said, I'm trying to explain is that I saw them doing this for another game. And my real question to Crispy, the whole reason this happened, Chubby, is because my question to Crispy was does anybody ever get the game they want, or is everybody getting kind of elements of the game they want? Is anybody ever really satisfied with that? You know what I mean? Um, and also from a GM's point of view, who enjoys the world building and all that kind of thing, it was like, what do I think of this? So I asked Crispy, and Crispy said, "Let's do one," and we did it. I don't know. Matt, what did you think about that process?
I've been thinking about it like all day. It was actually kind of distracting because I've been, when you come back from a vacation, you got all this work to do, right? And I got to bang out this stuff, but I kept thinking about it, and I would like take breaks and walk around my house and think about it, and then I get back to work. Um, Max Boyvon, when we had him on talking about 4D, he said something that I thought was interesting, and now I fully understand it. What the 4D guys are doing is the same thing that the Broas are doing, just from two different perspectives. Um, and what makes it different, the key difference is 4D, we didn't talk about game mechanics until the very end. The Bro SR start there because raw rules as written is key to the Bro SR method, right?
Mhm.
And then all this patron play and game player input to the world comes after that, and then they consult the rules to see if they can pull it off, right? Whereas with the 4D method, we just started brainstorming. Like you're like a jam session for, I don't know, some sort of creative writing project or something. And then it was just like, okay, this is a cool world. We got some cool character concepts. What system are we going to use? What system would fit this? And that's kind of the process that I go to um when I'm just kind of Kyle, what's up, brother? That's funny. That's funny. That's
I have
funny.
there's a couple guys from that other side that I do like.
Yeah, I know.
I get along with.
I get along with it, about half of them, I think. I don't know. But that
It
was
was funny
funny.
though.
um but but it's kind of the process that I go through when I'm just running a game. Like I go, okay, I want to play Gods of the Forbidden North. I'm not really interested in playing OSE. I want to play something really old school. What would that be? Oh, I'm going to do rule cyclopedia, So it's kind of the similar process. It's just in this particular case, it's collaborative. And there was a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of player buy-in and investment because of it. Like at the end of it, like all of us, I don't want to speak for you, but I think Bacon and I especially were like, this would be a cool campaign. We kind of want to play this now. Um, my only takeaway or concern would be like the system really does matter. Like I don't think you could
Yeah.
play
Well,
I don't think you could do 4D with something like Ascendant or Axe
yeah.
or
Could you
AD&D 1E. I
could
just
you
don't think
put
you
up
could.
Merlin's? Is that Mage's Musings with a different name?
I think it might be. Yeah.
The problem with the 4D approach is that they remove the game aspect of it. It's just sitting around playing make believe. I actually agree with that for about 75% of it. You know what I mean? I think and we should get into this. Like what did you like? What did you not like? Because
Sure.
I don't, and I think I've said this before, that I find the whole 4D thing to be more ah I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like an aspiration, right? Like we know we're never going to reach utopia, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep trying to make things
Sure.
better. You know what
I
I'm
feel the
saying?
same. And I feel the same way about the Bro SR actually. Like, I know some of them will swear up and down that they have been faithful to their always on game and it's been
Right.
going for years. But my response is, well, how many people are actually playing? And it's like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But the larger groups that they promote, they die within like 30 days. And I'm not saying that the method therefore fails. No, I think it's interesting. There's something to learn from it and take away from it, just like with the 4D method. So, like, I agree with you on that. I think it's partially aspirational. Um, but um, I enjoy it. And like honestly, you're the game that you started running and that hopefully we'll get back to in January, Luna, Texas. That's how I'm gonna approach it. I'm gonna be
Well,
first person the whole time, just kind of, you know.
but see, okay, so here's the thing, and this is, and I could be wrong about this. You know, Easy D6. So we started this Luna Texas game, right? And what I have found is one of the things that keeps me interested in a game is the system, is the game aspect of the system, right? And there's going to come a point with Easy D6 where I know I'm going to get bored. I just fucking know it. You know,
Well,
I'm already, we're going to talk about this later, but I'm
I
already
know,
reading another sandbox game
I know. Well, it yes,
because, and I think that there's a point to the idea that 4D does kind of ignore like the game aspect of it. You know what I mean? Now, when we get into my, you know, talking about West Marches again, I will admit that you can lean too much into the game aspect of it. You know, there is a balance. Um, but no, I think it's fine. I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings
yeah. And
about
I
it.
I think that's actually good though, because I've never done it before, not really. And to have someone who's experienced with it walk us through, I thought was good, so I can actually have a informed opinion. Would I ever run a 4D game? I don't know. I think I want to play a little bit more before I answer that question. Could I run a Bro SR game now that I've done some? Yes, but do I want to? You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
these questions. So, but real quick, got a super chat from Disco. Thank you, sir. $2. Can you define 4D play? Well, my understanding, it's more collaborative. Everyone, the game master and the players are all on the equal playing field. There's no real hierarchy. Everyone's sort of contributing to the world building, but to be a little bit more precise, it's more scene building. So like, and it's all first person. You don't ask the game master, does my character know this? No, 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 no. You don't ask questions like that. Like you either know it or you don't, and you maybe talk to your fellow players like in character about whatever it is you don't know and want to learn more of, right? Um, but like you could walk into a ballroom up on a balcony and the game master might just say, yeah, it's an opulent ballroom. And then you could say, well, I'm swinging from the chandelier. And that would be totally okay to say because it's assumed a chandelier would be in a ballroom. Like you don't have to ask
Yeah.
the question,
Hey,
is there a
Disco.
chandelier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disco, is it story gaming? According to Chubby's definition of story gaming, I would say it depends on the system you're using. But really what it comes down to is that the players stay describe their actions in first person. I do this, I do that. Um and they just kind of make the role when the role needs to be made because everybody should know the system, which there's a lot of things. Uh Disco, I'm gonna tell you that it's not I think story gaming, it depends on what system it is you're using. According to Chubby's definition of story gaming, in that if the players have control over the narrative, right? If the players, and I don't think that 4D does that. I think 4D allows the players to assume things about the setting.
Yes.
If you're in a kitchen, you're going to find a knife,
Right.
right? Like nobody's going to argue with you about that. It doesn't mean that you can introduce a story element like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere, a mysterious stranger rescued us. You can't do shit like that. You can't say, I'm going to go to the room that doesn't exist. But you can
Right.
assume things. So is it story gaming? It's more of a technique. I feel like it's a technique for players and GMs to immerse themselves in the experience and to, I don't know how to explain it. It's man, I'm torn. I'm really torn on how I feel about the whole 4D thing. I've thought
Yeah,
about it. I thought about it today. I had a couple hours alone in traffic. Um, and like I say, I think as an aspiration, I think if you're looking as a player to immerse yourself in the game, I think the 4D techniques are the way you're going to do that. But I also think there's a natural flow to a game, and you flow into the narrative and into the rules and the
I agree with you.
strategy and
Yeah,
all of that. So,
when one of the reasons why I was so glad to have Max Boyvon on, Mr. Max Boyvon, because he had this great video where he broke down the 4 dimensions. And the first dimension is the beer and pretzels guys who are just there to roll dice, have fun, and the game is facilitating a social like encounter.
mhm,
Second, 2D is more wargaming. You're there engaging with the rules, maximizing your character, doing the most damage you can,
yeah.
that sort of thing. The grid combat. 3 dimensional is where you are role playing, you're getting into your character, but there's a that includes third person. Well, my character Ragnar is totally upset about this, so he's going to charge or whatever, right? 4D is that next level where it's all first person. Um,
Mhm,
and it's been my experience that in a standard game, what the Broasar would call conventional games,
mhm,
you shift through these. Like every once a month, my buddies and I get together. We'll be laughing and joking for the first hour while I'm berating them for not taking notes about the last session, and we're kind of going over what happened, right? And then the third person stuff, we shift into third person, and then combat happens, and we get into second edition, and then eventually, and if someone gets drunk enough, and this has happened, in fact, I remember famously one of my buddies grabbed a sword off a wall and recounted that scene from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves from the '90s, where what's his name, the black guy there, he's just shouting, "I am not you, but I'd fight for him," and like I was just like, Jesus Christ, dude, calm down. So he was totally in 4D at that moment, right?
yeah.
So like I think that ebb and flow is natural, and I
It's
almost would argue, and I only say almost would argue because I'm not proficient enough, you know, but I would argue trying to stay in 4D throughout the entire session, I would argue is almost unnatural. Just
yeah.
like I think the Bro SR method, like hardcore, is unnatural. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
I think there's a back and forth. Here's the thing. If you take a game like 5e, I'm not drunk enough yet, but I'm getting there.
I'm getting there. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting there. Um, if you take 5e, there's this very like hard cutoff between what we would call narrative and like tactical, right? Like the game aspect, the mechanics, um, and the narrative. There's this hard cutoff. And I think most games kind of go back and forth in a flow, and it's not as I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You know what? We're doing this easy D6 game, and Bacon is in it. And the thing about 4D is Bacon can go 4D all day long, and it doesn't require that you do it, right?
Right.
Like you can play however the fuck you want. Um, and I think we'll find out. I think a lot of people, I think the guys in that game are going to try to stay in character, and we'll see how it works. But one of the things the more I think about 4D, the more I think about the whole 4D aspect of things, the more I think that you're limited by the system that you're going to use.
Yes. Well,
Like
that's
Easy
go ahead. Go
D6
ahead.
is very Easy D6 and possibly the Year Zero engine, right? I
Mhm.
think would be great for 4D.
Yeah.
But I'm reading Stars Without Number. Drink.
I'm pouring myself another one right now.
I'm reading Stars Without Number, and I don't really know that it works in 4D. I don't know that it can work in 4D. And I still think it's a great game. and I have
Right.
plans.
Well,
That's
that's
all.
the thing too. Yeah, and that's the thing. I just wanted to highlight something Bacon said. You're right, Matt. 4D is a practice performance ethic. It doesn't come natural. And I guess that goes into the aspirational aspect. And I did want to mention this, and I've mentioned this before, and I know not everyone agrees with me on this. But those of us online, those of us tapped in to this scene, this industry, how whatever you want to call it, we are truly dedicated to this hobby. We're the ones experimenting with things. We're the ones talking about these things. We're the ones spending our free time making fucking videos, right? And throwing it up on the internet. I think your average gamer doesn't do this sort of thing. So I think for me, from my perspective, what I'd like hopefully people would take away from my thoughts on subjects is try this sort of thing to see what it can do, what you can learn from, and what it can do for your game. And obviously, if you absolutely love it and you have a group that absolutely loves it, then by all means do 4D. If you have a group of bros who want to do bro SR, by all means do it. But like, I think there's something you can learn from all of it and like kind of create your own thing that is your thing
Yeah,
for your table. Oh, we got something from our boy Mike. Buck 99. What's up, Mike? Good to see you, man. 4D for me is when Brian Adams comes in.
I'll take it.
We try to, I've tried to block out that period of my life when his song from Prince of Thieves dominated the airwaves. God damn, that
Bro,
was awful. But
Brian
anyway,
Adams
you're
pre-soundtrack era
oh
is really
god.
good music.
Oh god.
No. Do you remember
Well,
he had a?
no,
Do
summer
you
was it
remember he
summer
had
of
a?
69?
No, that's Don Henley. Fuck Don Henley, dude.
Oh no.
But that is a great song, Summer '69.
Yeah.
But I hate Don Henley. Uh, yeah. So anyway, but the actual process, the collaborative thing that we did, where we created the world together, we really got down. It was like, what do you want from a campaign? What do you want from a campaign? You know, and we all kind of had our say. And I think we were real cooperative with each other. I think we were all fairly agreeable people in that, somebody said something, and so we're like, well, how do I make my idea fit around this?
Yeah.
Um, so agreed, Dying Breed. That is a
Yeah.
very good point. So, I mean, I think it was fun for all of us to get together and create the setting and kind of characters.
Oh,
Good
I was
job, dude.
right.
God damn, you are right.
Finally, I got Gary on music knowledge.
No, that's a good one. That's
I'm
actually
I'm
great.
drinking to that. I'm drinking.
Yeah,
to
good
that.
job. Hey, stars without number. Pick your drink up again.
Oh god damn it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. As a player, creating the yeah, right. You're not that much older than me, Dying Breed. You'd be surprised how old I am. But as a player, I thought it was kind of cool, right? There were certain aspects that we talked about for a while that like I'm gonna admit, maybe it's just my ADHD, but I was just like, why are we still fucking talking about this? And the style, one of the things that I kind of rubbed against was that with everybody trying to, with everybody adding ideas to the pot, like I just think I do simpler things. You know what I mean? Like we had so many things going on. For me, it would have been good guys need this. There's the fucking bad guy. He's hard. You know what I mean? Like it would have been much simpler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know Crispy's like campaign structure style. Like I don't know because I've never gamed with him. That was the first time, right?
Word.
And what we were doing felt perfectly normal for me from my perspective because I'm thinking in terms of a sandbox. Like, okay, these are all the things that I would need to sort of flesh out, broadly speaking, what the sandbox is going to look like, where the factions are. He kept talking about conflicts, right? And then we push play. This is where I stop and where I'm not 100% sure I'm comfortable and why I wouldn't run a 4D game.
Right.
It's because I don't know what that looks like. really. I maybe I'm overthinking it. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it looks like a typical game. It's just that everyone's in first person. Um, and maybe that's the case, but like for me, it was all about the sandbox, and that's why I actually dug the world building. See, what from my experience with you, and I'm not trying to be presumptuous here, but it's like you only do the work that you need to do when it needs to be done. So like you might have an idea, but it's my sense that you don't do anything with it until someone says, "Oh, that looks interesting."
That's kind of, but there's also that thing that I talk about a lot where it's in my head a lot, right? So even though I may not be writing it down, I'm thinking about it, right? So I may not know exactly what it is, but I have an idea or options or something. But you're right. I don't write things down. Nothing becomes concrete until it happens. You know, nothing becomes concrete until it happens. I try to start small ish. One, because it's just a lot of work, man. Like, don't do your whole fucking world. You don't know how long this game's gonna last. I also
Yeah,
find that the times I have gone overboard and really overplanned, like we don't use it. You know, players aren't gonna read. I would like, players aren't gonna read your handout.
oh, that's true.
All the notes that you make may or may not, work. And I think the system with 4D gives you a little bit more investment into things, and you know it better when you get there.
That solves that problem of players not reading the lore of the game. And that's what I thought was another thing I thought was kind of interesting about it, because like I now know what a Sunsider is. Like I don't need to ask the game master about it. And I know that there are dwarves willing to trade water with me for technology or whatever it is we're trading. And I also know they're the lower caste because they're not deep in
Yeah,
the ground where the concentrated microbial water is, and I know the water helps with psionic abilities, and I know that I've never seen night before. I don't know what a night sky looks like because of the two
right.
suns. I know all this stuff. And then it looks like my initial thought of 4D was the game master actually loses a lot of agency in a
Yeah,
similar sense that the Bro SR referee loses agency. Um, but they actually retain a lot of the power because it sounds like, from what Crispy was saying, he's like, I have all these things to work with. So he's still going to be developing the world behind the scenes.
right. And
You
there
know what
is
I mean?
something to be said for working within boundaries,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have full creativity to do whatever you want, you get option paralysis. There's just so much shit that you can do. But when you work within parameters, it helps. I think it helps. It just helps. Um, that being said, as a GM who enjoys not having to answer to anybody except the rule book,
Hmm.
right? Like there was part of it that was really hard. Like I was really like, I don't know, man. I don't know if
Yeah.
if I were sitting in Crispy's chair, I just don't know if I'd like it.
Yeah.
You know, even if so, for example, Stars Without Number, drink.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's a system for randomly creating your sector, right?
Right.
I don't know. Do I want that to be by committee? Do I want all my players to sit around and we figure out every world and we decide what these details are? And you know what I mean? It's do I really want to do that? Or how do your players discover? Where's the mystery? Where's the
Well, I had that exact same thought at the beginning of all of this, especially when we started talking about the alien presence.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, if we're going to flesh out all of that, like, what's the point of playing this game if there's nothing to discover? But the way Crispy sort of like directed the conversation and the way the conversation went, it's still a mystery, and he gets to fill out the details. So, like in a Stars Without Number game, drink. You're welcome. I think if you were going to do it 4D style, I think the players would probably start off just kind of like their just their home base, or like where they're starting, and like roughly the general factions and like their background history, whatever like tangentially relates to their character development. But like the premise of Stars Without Number, drink, is there's stars without number. There's an entire universe to explore, right? And you, the game master, would be rolling on these charts to determine what's out there as the players explore. So I don't think it would impact it too much. Where I think the issue is, the way 4D is supposed to be played, according to their theory, is I don't sit there in my first person perspective and say, that's going to happen on December 26th. We're going to do that. Drinks Without Number. That's actually going to be the name of the stream. Thank you. Thank you. You've given us the name for that stream. Thank you. That's what we're going to do. Drinks Without Number. So, but with first person, the 4D perspective, you're not supposed to go, okay, I boldly stride forward, draw my blade, and use my second wind to get my hit points back. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have you're supposed to have like a cue, a narrative cue, so everybody knows you're using your second wind. So the game mechanics fade in the background, and that's why something like Stars Without Number, drink, I'll sip in just a second, or any acts or anything with a lot of rules to it, I just don't think are going to work. So
well, but that's what it can work at moments, right? Like, I think the most nose in book game there is, period, is probably DCC. Right? Like, I think Dungeon Crawl Classics, especially if you have a Magic user or two,
oh
is
yeah,
one of those games that you're most like fucking in the book. But
yeah,
I
but
do
that's just
think
because
that
of the tables.
right. But I do think that you're always going to have those moments, right, where you're going to slide into character. And I think that's what I'm most comfortable with. I'm most comfortable with us sitting down. Um, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm most comfortable with sitting down and you play the game and you work into that character phase, and then holy shit, we have a fight. And I like going to the grid sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge grid miniatures guy, but every once in a while it is fun.
yeah.
So, there's that balance. What system are you guys using? Easy D6. And that is the thing. I completely believe that if you want to do, and we're about to talk about something else, but if you want to go into the whole 4D sphere, you want to use those techniques to really immerse yourself in the game. I don't know that there's a better system than Easy D6.
Yes, I agree with that.
And I don't know that many systems with more rules can handle it.
Yeah, I think you'd want to play. I don't know ICRPG at all, so I can't
It's
comment
not.
on that.
It's a rollover. It's more Shadow Dark than not
Okay,
Shadow Dark, but you know what I'm saying. It's that
yeah,
rollover.
but I think you would want to play a game like Easy D6, something. I hate to use the phrase rules light because that has a lot of connotations, but I do think it's kind of
Yeah.
on that side of the spectrum. You want something that's rules light, like Easy D6. Maybe Shadow Dark, because that is a really simple system when it comes down to brass tacks. And I don't know, maybe
Hey, bro,
Traveler.
I got to do a thing. Talk to Bacon.
Okay,
I'll be
I'll
right
talk.
back.
All right. Um, let's see. Let's see. I saw. Oh, yes, we are, because I'm not drinking bourbon. I'm drinking beer tonight, so that just kind of happens. But let's see. We ended the session 0 at system selection, but didn't actually name one definitively. We all seemed to think Easy D6 was the best fit. Yes. What I love about Easy D6, we had DM Scotty on like a month or so ago. What a great person. Just a wonderful, passionate creator in the hobby. But what I love about Easy D6 is how flexible it is, and that seems to be one of my um, uh, I guess virtues of of any game system that I look for. I mean, if it's flexible, like uh, Free League's Year Zero game engine is very flexible. It can do a lot. Um, but Easy D6 can do precisely what we were talking about doing. And what was really interesting about Crispy's presentation, he was willing to talk about house rules and homebrew just to ensure we had the experience that we were working towards, based on what we discussed during the world building, which is another thing that I really found fascinating about the 4D concept, which really does make it polarize from the Bro SR. So, like, if you wanted to, borrow a classic D&D sort of dichotomy, maybe the Bro SR are lawful, right? Because they're all rules as written. Maybe 4D is a little bit more chaotic because it's less about the rules and more about the subjective experience of the players. It was very fascinating, and I really, really, really appreciated that. Because I do think, well, I appreciate the arguments for Raw. I think there comes a point where a game master who's been playing the same system over and over and over again is going to come to an understanding about that system, which will give them hopefully the confidence to go to the next step and into the act of creation and actually do something with that system beyond what the original intent of the creator. And I don't think that there's any shame in doing that. So, but I really appreciated that aspect of 4D, and Easy D6 is like perfect for that. So, but anyway, I was just extolling yeah, no, it's all right. I'm about to do the same thing. The first of many times this evening. We are going to, Gary and I are planning a February 14th Valentine's Day live play one shot of Fatal, rules as written. No, I'm just I'm just kidding.
The fuck are you talking about? That's insane.
I know, it'd be funny though. No, it wouldn't. It'd be gross. Okay. Anyway. So I don't know. Any other any other thoughts on 4D?
I think it's fine. I mean, I think it's for some people. I think it's a technique that some people can use with their games. I got to tell you, we do this show most Fridays. I read, a lot of systems. I like thinking about games and the way they work. And I think that 4D would be a lot of fun for a limited time. You know what I mean? For a certain amount of time. I think it's fine. I think for the most part, it's more, man, it's thinking real hard about elf games is what it is. You know what I mean? But I understand why people would get into it. Like, I totally understand why Bacon is into it and why Crispy's into it. I get it. I don't think I'm that serious of a person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have the temperament to discipline my game playing. You know what I mean?
That's another quote that's got to go on a shirt. Okay.
Hey, just so you know, I feel like that's around the same ballpark as my Shadow Dark review.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
it's fine.
Yeah,
whatever.
Fine.
No, I mean, I don't want to take anything that this is my leisure time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take anything necessarily, that seriously. On the other end of things, you've got like the brosers, and I wouldn't, I mean, it's just so strict. You know what I mean? It's so strict. And I don't want to have to, I don't know, man. It's just it's an odd thing for me. I understand what they're trying to do. I think it's great, and for people who want that immersion, I think these are great techniques to use. But I don't have the discipline in my leisure time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
and I
that's
think what you're getting at is underscores Mr. Max Boyvon's point that the Bro SR and the 4D guys are trying to do the same thing, but they're coming at it from like two different directions.
absolutely. And
And
I
that does
actually
require that level of like, I guess,
and I do
discipline
have
and
to say,
dedication.
I do think it's a good idea. There are certain things I think are really good to always keep in mind when you're playing. And I think like for example, being in speaking in character. I do this, I do that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
All right, at most, good to see you, buddy. $5. He's got a hot take. 4D is a status symbol for theater kids for RPGs. List the
I
four
disagree with you,
dimensions, buddy.
Atmos. Take the mask off. That's not even a real person. Highlight Chubby real quick because
this is
he
my
can't
leisure time.
resist.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my leisure time, says the man who played one character one session of my game, died and never came back because he quote didn't have the time. Interesting. Chubby, I love you, man. But you keep trying to make sense out of me, and what you haven't figured out is that I am an agent of chaos. There is no making sense out of this. Matt's froze up.
It's something I've learned the hard way, Chubby. Oh,
Yeah, don't try to make sense out of this. Actually, though, Chubby, I will say this. You know, it is hard. I have found that Saturday nights are kind of hard. One of the reasons that we have this show scheduled as late as we do is so that I can put the kids to bed and then do the show. And your game starts my time 8 o'clock, which on Saturday night, I don't even know if my kids are going to bed. You know, who even knows? Um, that being said, I'm playing this easy D6 game, and I am kind of looking for something else. You know what I mean? At Chubby Funster, Saturday night is hard. I get that. It is hard just because everybody's home. You know, we've really, at least in my family, um, Saturday night is the only time that everybody's home. I got 3 boys. And Sunday is the only day when like we're all together all day. So it's kind of, you know, I know everybody's like, I game on the weekends. I would love to game on the weekends. That would be great. Just not really in the cards now.
man.
Sounds like quitter talk. I don't
Man,
quit.
everyone's giving you shit, man.
Dude, it's my night. It's my night.
It's your turn.
I know, this is
The chat turns on you.
The chat turns on me every other fucking show, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I think we've done the 4D thing. It's fine. And you know what the thing about 4D that I like the most though is I like the company of Crispy and Bacon.
Yeah.
Right? Like Crispy is such a pleasant, like soft spoken, really good. Even on his videos when he's like you see his head about to explode watching these live plays.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, he's still like, I think I would be much more, you dumb motherfucker.
Right.
You know, so I really like the company. But I think we've talked about that enough. What's next, bro?
Well, there's 2 things on our list. One of them is kind of a big topic because it's about your West Marches game.
Okay.
But it might be fun to brief because that could take a while. That could take a lot of and I think it might be fun, especially because we got Chubby here before he passes out because for some reason he can't stay up late, but that's okay. Nothing. I'm not taking it personally.
No, he's got shit to do.
Everybody like Tenkar, Double D, Chubby, and a few others have been talking about what would happen if they own D&D. Like, what would we do if we own D&D? And I thought, what if you and I own D&D. Like what?
Oh,
What if we had corner offices in some
how would I ruin the hobby as opposed to how everybody else would ruin the hobby?
Right. I wanted to start off with I did not watch any video on this subject because except for Chubby's, because of a couple reasons. Number one, it's kind of like a weird, like, I don't know, clickbaity sort of concept, but it is kind of a fun intellectual exercise. And I just didn't want to spend 15, 20, 30 minutes listening to someone, whatever. Chubby's video was 2 minutes and 38 seconds or something like that. It was perfect. And I agree
I've not
with
seen it yet.
I agree with his analysis.
Which
I
was
it's IP law. Someone's got a great idea, but eventually someone else ends up owning it and they end up doing something with it. It completely ruins it. It's just the way of things. I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it a little strong there for you. Oh yeah. Okay. I think culture and zeitgeist play a role. You know, the cultural zeitgeist that gave birth to Dungeons and Dragons in the 70s and how it developed in the 80s is very different from now, and I think that does play a role. Um, but I did want to make a point that I left Dungeons and Dragons a long time ago, years ago, such that this question, what would I do if I own D&D, like doesn't interest me at all. All right. I'm only doing it because it's clickbait. Okay. Pure and simple. It's a cynical clickbait.
yeah.
But I think what people need to understand is I think some of the rise in the certain creators in this hobby, like Kelsey Dion's Shadow Dark, and by extension Chubby, and the work he's done for Shadow Dark is precisely because of how shitty Wizards has been for as a steward for the D&D brand. So, what would I do if I owned D&D? The lawful good side of me, the pure of heart Superman character, the Captain American side of me would do exactly what Chubby would do. Release it to the public. So it's anybody can do whatever they want with it. It's like OSR to the 10th, 100th, nth degree, right? The lawful evil side of me, the Doctor Doom in me, would be keep doing exactly what Watsy's doing. Just put the pedal to the metal, rainbows and sparklies, and just keep going so the indie scene will thrive. You'll fucking hate me, but you'll need me. So,
well,
thoughts? What would you do?
I wouldn't do that. So I've thought about this a lot. Since I saw the video titles, and I haven't watched any of the videos either. I think the first thing I would do is I would keep. This is going to seem silly to a lot of people, but there are some folks who love 2014 5e, and regardless of what changes I made, I would continue to publish that player's guide, DM's guide, monster manual, and maybe have that like as a line. I would do like they're talking about, like Tinkar was talking about in his past couple videos. There's these rumors that they're going to start, kind of leaning back towards like first edition AD&D, which, let's be honest, I don't think that's really going to happen. But I do think there would be a new edition. I think I would keep the D20 rollover. I wouldn't go back to THACO or anything like that. But I would incorporate, because it's a modular system, I would make sure that it was more modular. There would be real rules for, hex crawls and time and domains. And, basically it would be BECME translated into whatever. I think one of the big things that WotC misses is they have got this huge back catalog. And the only way you can get it right now are these reprints from drive-through, which is fine. I don't dislike drive-throughs printing necessarily. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a big thing. Um, but if I were, I would Thaco's fine, but I'm not a religious adherent.
Faco is an elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Sure. It's whatever. They both work the same. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would definitely go. I would get rid of the gay artwork, flat out.
Yeah.
And just make a better game. I would probably try to market it. Like I give it the orange spines again, the AD&D orange
Yeah, but see,
spines. I would try to include those things.
Yeah. And that's all fine and good. And I thought about stuff like that too, but then it dawned on me. I'm like, I'm getting everything that you're talking about in the indie scene, right? So there is is a symbiotic relationship. There's some kind of relationship between WotC and the indie scene, and I think things are at a point where the old model, the old rising tide, or whatever, raises all ships, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't think is really the same. Yes, people are still buying D&D
No.
from WotC.
You're wrong.
But I think things are different enough that if WotC keeps doing what it's doing, especially if these rumors that Tenkar brought up are true, like they want to go back to this old aesthetic. I mean, that's an admission.
I think it's more than anything that they want to go back to the old aesthetic. And if you remember correctly, one of our first shows, it must have been like the first 10 episodes, we were talking about WotC, and Kelsey actually jumped in the chat.
Yeah.
And she had said they're going to have to do an about face in the next couple of years. I think this is close to it. I think what we're going to get, I do think there's going to be another edition. I think 2024 is going to quietly go away, right? I think people are going to they're just going to let that die. I think there's going to be a new edition, and I think they're going to lean into probably the modularity of it. I think they'll make it slightly more deadly, and I think the artwork will be less gay. And they're not going back to,
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I don't know anything about the guy that's in charge. I don't know anything about him, but if he's a real fan, then there's no way he's not going to do AI art. That's the problem. You've got to get a fan who understands business to do this thing. I don't know, man.
Hold on a second. Mike's got something, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. There's an unconscious connection to the WotC D&D brand that borders on Stockholm syndrome. Honestly, people act like WotC D&D is a woke drunken lover on the wrong path. That's how I agree with that. Like, this is why I left D&D a long ago. My focus is on, for my free time, my gaming experience is all focused on the indie scene. WotC has nothing for me. And if they did an about face,
it's not about WotC. We're talking about WotC. The whole idea is, what would you do? We all know, fuck WotC. I get it.
No. But
if you own D&D, who cares about WotC?
Okay. All right. If I own D&D, I have been playing I've been the forever DM since 1988. I know what it's like to play a villain. I would be everyone's villain. So the indie scene, like Chubby, like Kelsey, like Dungeon Crawl Classics, like Greg Gillespie, like RPG Pundit, James Raggi, so they can still thrive. And that's why I put the pedal to the metal and keep doing what WotC's doing, because I want the indie scene to survive. I want it to thrive, because if WotC actually does do an about face, I think the indie scene will start to wither, because all these grognards will be like, oh, hey, we finally got this brand back, right? And they'll start spending their money there. But the question I have is, and I know this is going off topic, but the question I have is, would that, if you were a CEO where your responsibility is to the shareholders, would you do that when there is millennials and Generation Z, whatever, and Generation Alpha coming up? Again, the game was built originally on a zeitgeist, and those people are dying off. Sorry, it's just, that's the way it is. And the zeitgeist now is what it is. So that's why they're doing what they're doing.
However, you say that, but we've both witnessed. I mean, brosers are younger than us. They're not all Gen X.
And the brosers are a very loud minority.
Okay, sure, but they have a wide influence, I would say. I think a lot of people are fucking trying that shit. Maybe not the vast majority, but hold on. Here's the thing. And I want to say this delicately because we know a lot of indie creators. It's not my responsibility to make sure that something sucks so that they can be good. Right? As a consumer,
okay,
as the guy in the store, I just want D&D to be good again.
Yeah, see, but I don't care. D&D is no longer good to me. I don't care about the brand. I am no longer loyal to it.
But neither am I. Neither am I. But if D&D, if Dungeons and Dragons were put back into the right hands, right? Well, just somebody who agrees with me.
Well, if it was put, go ahead. Go finish your thought.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's silly. I don't wish for it to fail because I promise you that is not good for gaming. It is not good for gaming in any way whatsoever. And the attitude, quite honestly, is kind of like, oh, come on, really, dude? No, that's silly. That's like hoping your mom dies so you get the inheritance.
No, it has nothing to do. No, it would be, to me, it would be like a sacrifice. Like D&D is dead. It is gone. It is never going to be what we thought it was. Dude, it died in 3rd edition. The moment they started having these spiky armor bits, like the aesthetic. I mean, you've made this argument before many times. The art it's like integral to the product. It's done. It's been done. And it's all based on the current culture. The culture is not looking for what guys like I or Dying Breed are looking for. They're not really looking for that. They may want the game experience, like hex crawls and stuff.
That's true.
I don't know.
I don't think it's true, but I'll tell you, because I live, I often refer to the city I live in as the People's Republic of Austin, right? But there's a lot of OSR stuff. The other day I was in Dragon's Lair, which is like the most fucking corporate kind of game store you can get in this part of the country. And there was OSR stuff in there. Not only was there OSR stuff, there were other games that were definitely, not WotC. Like, overall, I don't give a shit. I want better games, right? So somebody said earlier, it's Stockholm Syndrome to a brand. I understand what you're saying there, but at the same time, this is the game. It is the one that started the stuff. And, so were I in charge of D&D, I think they should dig into their back catalog and they should do reprints. I think they should do a 6th edition, which leans into the modularity of it. Do I think they're going to do that? No, I think they're going to change the aesthetic. I do think they're going to change the aesthetic. I think the aesthetic is going to be less girly or whatever you want to call it,
Real quick. Hey, man, Mage's Musings. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Good to see you. Take care.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Well, I guess because we're going to go around and round on this. You're like the chaotic good. I'm lawful evil. I'm just like, I would take it over and tank it so everybody else. And like I said, I'll be like Dr. Doom. You can fucking hate me, but you need me. And I'll just rake in the cash for all the morons who think because that's what they're doing now. That's what they're doing now.
That is the worst fucking attitude. Like, I can't think of a worst answer that anybody could fucking give. Of all the things that could have come out of your mouth, that is the most wrong.
No, it is absolutely correct, because that is exactly the relationship. The reason why Kelsey,
you're talking about your relationship with WotC. You're not talking about your relationship with the game. You know, it's like the difference between your
My
country and
relationship
your
with the
government.
game is Lamentations. My relationship with the game is
Right. But
Chubby and
why would,
Kelsey.
but
My
what I don't,
relationship is
ah,
DCC. Call of Cthulhu. Well, Call of Cthulhu is a different game, but you know what I mean. Like,
right.
I don't care. I don't
You
care
got to
about
understand,
D&D
I'm
at
not,
all.
just so you understand,
I'm done.
I know, dude. I know, man. You're
You know,
hardcore. I
I
get it.
know.
I really would like to see the originator of this hobby have a good 6th edition that plays well and is not geared towards one specific group of people to the exclusion of everybody else. You know,
I just want to highlight Dave Mills clearly understands Dr.
bro,
Doom. Thank
Dave
you.
Mills wore a helmet in elementary school and got walked
No,
around by
he
the
understands
teacher's
Dr.
aide.
Doom. He
Stop.
understands him.
He's
He
the
understands.
helmet kid.
I
Always having to
agree.
hold the teacher
I
aide's
think it's
hand.
I think it's admirable, Gary, what you would want to do for D&D. I want to
I can
put
fix it. I can
I,
fix it.
I want to put this thing that's on. I want to pull the plug of this thing that's on life support.
Then the hobby will really
It
and
won't.
truly die. It
It won't.
absolutely will.
It absolutely will not.
It's
People
it would
will
no.
crave this.
You are so full of shit, dude.
Nope.
You don't get it. You do not get, regardless of how popular the OSR might be right now.
I swear to God, he is not a Doombot. He is not a Doombot. Dave is his own guy. Anyway,
there is something to be said. Look, I don't want it in the condition it is now. And if it dies, it dies. But there is something to be said for the I can fix her. There is something to be said for fixing things as opposed to destroying them. You know, I'm
just call me Shiva.
Yeah. And I still think all the OSR stuff would be there. You know, I think there'd be enough. I think it would still be there.
It would still be there. That's the point. Through the ashes. I mean, I guess maybe I'm more Thanos. Like, I'm just insane, right? I'm insane. I'm going to bring about some great utopia by driving it into the ground. I don't know. But my ultimate point is the crappiness of WotC, I think, is actually helping a lot in the indie scene. And if WotC all of a sudden does an about face, I think indie creators might be in trouble. And I've grown to like a lot of the indie creators, not just on a personal level, just on what they create. I don't want to see that go down. I just don't. I'd rather see them soar. So if all of a sudden I opened up a candy bar and there was a golden ticket that said you own D&D,
what you're telling me,
I'd burn it
is
to the
that
ground.
What you're telling me is that, like Tanya Harding, you would rather cripple the best skater so that everyone else,
that is not the best,
so that everybody else can have
skater. This is a
better
terrible
chance
analogy
of making some money.
No, WotC is not the best skater. D&D is not the best skater.
The brand in the name,
and the brand,
game to be turned around,
the brand is a gay beholder. Okay, that's the brand right now because of the zeitgeist. That's the brand. The Larry, the Elmores, the Clyde Caldwell, all that aesthetic is done. It's done. It's been gone for 20 years. The brand is a gay beholder and tieflings doing their thing with like this crazy convoluted tabletop war battle simulator bullshit with like no role playing, no exploration, no problem solving. D&D is dead. It's been mutated. It's gone. Anyway, we got a super chat from Chubby. We got to get that Shadow Dark money, dude. $5, sir. Thank you so much. The size of the hobby is not related to the quality of experience. I don't care how many people walk away. I care about the quality of what remains. Yes, Chubby, we don't agree much, but I love it when we do.
I usually agree with Chubby, even when he's giving me shit. But I don't agree with that. Hold on, let me read that again, just to make sure I don't agree with that.
Here, I'll
Gary is an abused spouse defending their abuser. I can fix her. Um, Gary, gay is in the eye of the beholder. No, motherfucker, you know gay when you see it. You know gay when you see it. Flat out. And I don't care, dude. Look,
I'm actually the mad midnight bomber who bombs at midnight. That's who I am with respect to this.
well, I will say this. One of the reasons that even though I agree with all your takes on WotC and their evil and all that kind of shit. I agree that in the form it is now and the way that WotC's treated their customers and everything, it's not great. But I would like to see the brand do well.
Super chat from Mike.
You guys are a bunch of grumpy old men.
You did nothing wrong. Someone in the chat. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Thanks, Mike. Anyway, all right. Well, clearly disagree on that. That's totally cool. But it was a fun. But at the end of the day, and this goes back to my original point, this intellectual exercise really doesn't do much.
At the end of the day, let's say the new guy does turn D&D around. Let's say he makes a good game. Let's say there's no OGL debacle. They do the Creative Commons thing. What if it's great? Do you not play that game because you're too hardcore? You're too punk rock?
It would depend. Is he hiring me to
fucking great game?
Is he hiring me to write things?
But you can write your own shit.
No, you're right. You're right. I here. How do I want to respond to that? It would depend really on what that looks like. I am so focused, and where my pleasure lies is so rooted in old school. Like, I'm not a big fan of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but I'd rather play first edition or second edition than any other edition. Right? I prefer BX over any other edition. So, like, if it's just a streamlined 5e, true. I got Shadow Dark. Like, why would I play that? You know what I mean?
Honestly, I think if these rumors are anywhere near true, I think what 6e is going to be is Shadow Dark with the AD&D options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Bro, we're talking about consumerism, Chubby. Like, you can't spend money on shit without like paying some child slave somewhere.
Sorry. The chat's on fire. It's cracking me up. I'm sorry. Thanks, guys. All right. I have to hit the restroom.
Actually. Again?
I do. I'm drinking a lot of beer. I'll be back in a few minutes, and then let's revisit West Marches.
Sure, absolutely.
Because I have some things to talk about, like my experience with like one-to-one time and downtime activities, and I know you have a lot to say about your experience with West Marches. And I think that's actually going to be a really good conversation because, like, you actually did it, and I know you're a very honest guy when it comes to your experiences. And I think when we see on social media, people tend to put some of this stuff on like pedestals, right? And they're like, "Oh, you got to do it like this." Well, do we? I don't know. So I'll be back though.
We'll talk about that. So while Matt's gone, everything he said in the past
I'm still listening, motherfucker.
Total complete fucking bullshit. Listen, you can talk back to me, but here's what I really think, guys. I think it's good for the hobby if the flagship name that is in the public zeitgeist the most. I think it's best if they're making a good product that a lot of people enjoy. That's all, you know. I think it's good for the hobby. And my experience, especially being a comic book fan, I have noticed that when Marvel and DC are doing good business, independent comics do better business than they did before, right? So, for example, if you look back to like, I want to say it was the early 2000s, you look at comics, right? And you had Marvel and DC were both like killing it. You had doing the Avengers, you had 52 going with DC, and people were coming into the comic book store every week to get these new books, but they were finding these other things. So, in general, as I know everybody here is a grumpy old man and they're all pissed off at Watsy, but I think it is good for the hobby that the flagship name that everybody knows. I think it's good if they put out a good game. I think it is good for everybody. And that is it. Matt has the problem is that um Disco, I agree. It's important because it will always be. Nobody comes to you and fucking says, I want to play a role playing game. No, they come to you and they say, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. And it is
And it
best.
already exists.
All I'm saying, Matt, is it's better. It is better for it to do well for the entire hobby. If it goes away, that's your big boat. Now you're just a bunch of little fucking boats that nobody can see in the water.
Oh, I thought we were moving on. But
We
anyway.
are moving on now that you're back.
Oh, okay. You cheated. Okay, that's cool.
I've watched this fucking show when I go pee. I hear this shit you say. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so West Marches.
West Marches. Wow. What an experience.
What didn't you like about it?
So I will say some of the problems. I think some of the problems that I had with it were self-imposed. Like I think I made some mistakes as far as planning the game and prepping. But I think what you're doing works better because you kind of naturally went into that one-to-one time mode. Whereas I was like, hey guys, we're gonna do this fucking thing, you know. And I don't think people understood getting into it when I was like pitching this West Marches game. I don't think people understood that like levels 1 through 3 is going to take a long fucking time. The body count's going to be high. I think the worst thing about the West Marches game is that not every player, that's every year, Chubby. But I think the other half of it, the other 50% of it, is that everybody about 4 months, Chubby, about 4 months. I think everybody thinks they want to do a thing until they start doing it. And then they find out it's not really what they thought it was going to be. You know, everybody likes the idea of leveling up and building a castle and, you know, having all that shit. But nobody wants to actually like they're thinking of the end game or whatever. And there wasn't a lot of proactivity. So I don't know, Matt. You say something because honestly, there are days where it's all my fault that campaign fell apart after a few months. And then there are other days where I'm like, fuck all those guys, dude. I was doing I reread the rules. This is what I'm supposed to do. So
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard for me
Yeah.
to really say. I will say this. I don't think it's a game for every player.
Yeah.
Flat out.
All right. Well, where to begin? Well, with your game, I enjoyed it. Like I was enjoying it. And I was actually as a player feeling the competitive nature of it. I know when we were first talking about the game, there was a lot of controversy about PvP. You know what I mean? That never manifested. So it was sort of like much ado about nothing. And I sort of felt like it was a manufactured controversy. You know what I mean? But there were definitely
as we were talking about it. I'm like, you
yeah,
guys know this is bullshit, right?
right. Yeah, exactly. So your instincts were right about that. And the most I got in terms of PvP was like, can I get out there before anybody else? Right. And that's why I actually spent that one day. I'm like, I have this secondary character who's like a thief ranger type guy. Let's just explore all the hexes. And I made no XP, I made no gold out of that. It was just a night of gaming, and it was what it was, right? But we filled out the map and we discovered some stuff and so on and so forth. my magic using character, like my main, really, like I had plans for him, you
Yep.
know. What was I ran into the same issues that I ran into with the Bro SR game. This started feeling like I needed to be on all the time because someone like I know Melkor was very active.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he would hire guys, build a small army, and go take something. And
Yep.
I'd hear about it a few days later. I'm like, God, Jesus Christ, you know. Um,
I don't. I would say, Matt, I think that is a symptom of you being involved in so many games. I was about to
yeah,
say too many games, but I think that's just how you are. You're going to play in a lot of different games. I think if you were the average person playing like one game, maybe two games,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It wouldn't have felt as stressful to always be a part of it. But that
yeah.
is another thing because I didn't really want to do an always on game.
But it ended up being
But
that.
it ended up kind of turning into that,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So and that was I think it's fair to say that was a symptom of one-to-one time, right? Like
Mhm.
that was or not symptom, a consequence of like
Yeah,
one-to-one time. So what I'm doing with my in-person gaming crew is it's really one-to-one time is for like the adventuring. Like so when we get together and we're eating our Cheetos and we're rolling dice, I calculate how much time they were on, and then I let them know, okay, you guys are going to be back on November 16th. That's when downtime begins. And
right,
then I have a rough, you have like a major action you're going to do, and any minuscule, like, oh, I want to go buy stuff, you can just do it. Right. And so if there's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks before we play again, you have like 3, 4, 5 actions. That seems to be working. Um, well, let me back up a sec. It works up to a point. Um, my in-person gaming crew is not like the guys that you were gaming with. Um, my in-person gaming crew, I don't think give a shit about downtime
yeah,
because it's like we're gonna play in about a week, and I've had no downtime orders at all. They've had 3 weeks. They know how much time they have, which is kind of metagamey. So if they want to like train,
yeah,
they know they can't train, so they can go and do something else. So, oh hey, what's up, Fox Off? Good to see you, man. Um, but but that's a separate issue, I guess, where
yeah.
we can get into with your game. I don't know. I sort of feel like I when
Well,
I first started running my Lamentations game, there was a couple guys who were all like, "Yeah, rules is written. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be
Mhm.
Temple of Elemental Evil." Da, 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 da. And within a couple months, I started getting private messages. This is really hard. My characters keep dying.
Yeah,
And I'm like, everyone's OSR until it's time to be OSR. You know
right.
what I mean? And I don't want to like say that's the reason, but I do think that plays a part.
Absolutely. And but yes, there is that. I think there's a lot of people who don't really like this is what it is. It is the game. All the role playing and all of that kind of stuff that happens in between sessions.
Yeah.
When you're in play, this is a procedural game. It's got rules just like fucking Sorry or Monopoly. We're
Yeah.
going to go through every turn. We're going to check for random encounters. I'm not telling the players to do shit. I am doing nothing but rolling for the bad guys and being an arbitrator of edge cases, right? Because everybody knows the rules. Um, there's, I do think, and this is one thing, if you're going to do a West Marches game, I'm already reading another sandbox game. I'm ready for another sandbox game. It's not like I've given up on the idea. Um, in fact, we'll talk about why I still think it's superior to quote unquote story gaming, right? Um, but I did make a couple mistakes, and I think in this setting, one of the mistakes I made was underestimating how much time it's going to take players to get through a 24-mile hex, how far away they're going to be willing to travel, the kind of risks they're going to be willing to take. Um, because literally at everything that would have changed the whole zeitgeist of the game, you guys got cautious and walked away. You know, like there was a dungeon that unlocked a whole new area of the world as well as a new class. There was this one borderline. If you cross it here, you're meeting these people. If you cross it here, you're meeting these. Or here, there were 3 different groups of people. You guys were 1 hex away. And I think it's the OSR, it's the churn, it's the way so many like your characters just die so fucking often that eventually it does kind of that sort of daring do action kind of thing. You're like, well, fuck it, I don't want to die. You know what I mean? I don't want to cross this line because I'm 3rd level. You know, I don't want my 3rd level guy to die. And I think that affects player behavior a lot.
I
So
don't think
yeah.
you're wrong on that. I don't think you're wrong on that. In fact, I'll say this because I know my in-person gaming crew does not watch this show.
Word.
It's funny. Well, they like to make fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're some YouTuber now, like with your 1,000 subs." I'm like, "Fuck off." It's fun. Anyway, I've known these guys for decades, so you know we give each other shit. But they're like their average character level is like level 4 or 5. They've actually done really well. They've only lost 2 player characters, about 10 henchmen, and God knows how many fucking mercenaries.
Right.
The Iron Price is becoming known in Vulcangard as just like a fucking meat grinder. But if you survive, it's the wealth, you know, so it's worth trying, right? So therefore,
that's also real quick before I forget. One thing I want to mention about hirelings and stuff. The one thing that did change my game for the better that I think extended its life was using Hell March mass combat rules. Anyway,
So yeah, they're 4th or 5th level, and they've encountered quite a few keyed locations on the map of Tetherian, Gods of the Forbidden North. One of them is called the Barrow of Eight. They know it's an undead place. They know it's a burial mound, and they are fucking terrified of it. The burial mound, I think, is written for 3rd level characters. They still won't fucking go.
Yeah.
You know, and I bring it up all the time. I just kind of jokingly, so what are you guys doing today? There's this, there's that, there's the Barrow of Eight. Well, fuck that. No, Matt really wants us to go there. We're not going to go there. And so they end up like stumbling on something that they really can't handle, and then they have a setback. So I do agree with you. It does play into player behavior, but I would argue, and this is how I play, I'm a guy who like tries to ask questions, and a lot of questions. So like if I'm in character, I'd be like, well, what do we know of this Barrow of Eight? Is that can we have the money? We can hire a sage to like, you know, tell us about the Barrow of Eight. Let's see what we can do. My players have not done that. And this runs in, this is my problem with my campaign. They're very much a beer and pretzels crowd. So like tomorrow morning, I am going to send in a text message of the meme of the actor playing that fucking drug lord where he's all bored and depressed in various positions. And it's going to be Lord Mattias waiting for downtime orders from his crew. You know, just like, guys, what are we doing? You know, just because it's like pulling teeth. They just want to show up and roll dice. So 1-to-1 time has not actually benefited my game at all. If anything, it's frustrated it. You know what I mean?
So, well, and you know, I'm trying to think of a better way to do a game. And here's the thing. Look, I've been very complimentary of the Brosers. I think they've done some really good things as far as bringing attention to stuff. I really like a lot of the things that they've done. I will say that I'm more and more taking the things that they've said and I just apply it to 1st edition. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I think you're absolutely right if you're playing this game.
I said
And
that
I've
exact same
yeah,
thing to Jeffro,
yeah,
and then he blocked me.
but it happens.
Yeah.
Um, and they believe that that game is superior, and that's fine. Um, but I don't know that it works. I think there's a better way to get the same feeling. You know, when we were talking to Ben Gibson not too long ago, he was talking about his Stars Without Numbers campaign drink. And how he bent things so that his players kind of had a big there was a big ship, and so they had like, it was kind of like an enterprise kind of thing. And so there was like the bridge crew, and what do you call it, a bridge crew, and then you had your red shirts, you know, your secondary characters and all that. I think that might be a great way to do a large game without having necessarily to do one-to-one time. Right? Does that make sense? You know,
Yeah.
I think you can get that same feeling, that same world moving underneath you feel, right? I just don't think it needs to be something so strict as that.
Yeah. One-to-one time has the benefit for my Gods of the Mid North campaign has been that it has helped me organize things. But because of the passivity of my players, it's actually started frustrating. Like I'm starting to get a bottleneck, not of my creation, but of their creation. So like, I know the solution is just impose the consequences, but it's going to be like a floodgate because they just not responded to things. And what they've tried to do, and this is just my players because they're war gamers as well. They've tried their downtime activities has been about setting up, well, trying to set up things that will allow them to sort of circumnavigate doing anything active. Like, oh, I'm going to set up a spy ring, and they don't give any
Right.
more detail, right? And so I'm like, okay, roll some dice. You did, and then I don't hear about it again. In their mind, I know what they're thinking. Well, my spy ring will tell me if there's anything that I need to look into. It's like, that's not how this works. You got to tell me, are you spying this week? You know, so at the end of the day, it just ends up becoming me feeding adventure hooks with extra steps, whereas I'd prefer them to be more active and like maybe give me ideas like, oh, I'm going to go spy on so and so, and then I can look into the book. Is so and so up to something, and they learn about it. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's been the frustrating aspect of it all. And so then I'm asking myself, like, why use one-to-one time in this particular situation that I find myself? Like, why not come up with some other method of advancing faction goals? And I
Yeah.
know in your perspective, like your style, you just be like, you know what? I like this faction, and I think this faction would do this now, and throw it out to the players, right? For someone like myself,
Well,
maybe I consult some charts, a hex flower,
I
whatever. But one-to-one time, again, I'm not trying to shit on it, but like it in this particular situation, it's not doing what the Broasar promise, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. Um, hold on. I meant, hey, Table Runner Crispy. What I meant to say is, I have an idea for a Grand Stars Without Number game, and I will be getting in touch with you. And we're gonna. This kind of feeds into what Matt says. You know, you were talking about consulting charts, um, and I think that's kind of the difference. You know, Chubby on his videos talks a lot about the cognitive load of a DM. And when you're having to keep a bunch of NPCs straight and motivations and all that kind of thing, it can get a little, it can be taxing, right? And I think the systems actually help. And one of the things that draws me to Stars Without Number, here we go. One of the things that's drawing me to it right now is that even if the system is simple, there seems to be a system there for things,
Right.
right? Like you've got factions. I have to create the details for a planet, but I don't have to create the system or the planet out of nothing. You know, I've got these prompts. I know what's there, and there's a numerical value to these things that I can translate into the game rules, right? And I think that's really where it's at. I don't know that as much as my West Marches game and went for 4 months and then it kind of petered out. I still think that that style of gameplay, maybe not one-to-one time, but definitely sandbox. I think that's the way to go. What Chubby just say?
Oh, he's talking about the Barrow of Eight.
Mm,
I gave Gary's PC a bit of information on what was in it. Then he led the party there. They opened it up, released evil, then ran.
I died. I came back to life. I tried to kill him, and there it went. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my the way things happened in my game, Chubby. So I'm using the rule cyclopedia, and there's a skill in there called alternative magics, and the description is your character knows alternative magics, and that's pretty much it. And I'm like, well, what the fuck does that mean? It's all Vancian in the book. Well, I imported RPG Pundit's old school companion number 3, which has a series of alternative magics in it. And I basically said, if you put a skill point into alternative magics, you can pick one of these. So their first magic user, who sadly died, had dream magic. And so he would spend his downtime dreaming. And I would feed him the metaphysical issues going on with Therian and the Forbidden
Right.
North, like the dark, crazy shit. But it was all dreams. So like it wasn't 100%, and he was interpreting them. So he learned about the 8 demon creatures that were like breeding with the natives. And when they heard of the Barrow of Eight, they honestly think the demons are located there. They're wrong, but that's the reason why they're not going there. They
Yeah.
misinterpreted a dream, so which is hilarious, but it's also kind of funny because they're like 5th level. They would crush it. They
Yeah.
would totally crush it. So
Well, and you know, I liked the idea of not having a balanced wilderness, right? Everything was random. Now, I did make up my own random charts,
yeah,
but they were level appropriate for, you know, it was
sure.
all kind of there. And I did mess with it. Um, you know what, guys? If you want to run a West Marches campaign, I say try it. Go try it. Go look up West Marches rules. I forget the guy who read them, and go do it. Because really, I feel like if I would have avoided a few mistakes, I think that game might still be going. I also think that there are resources that either I wasn't aware of or had just kind of come out. Like I don't building a role-playing city that for me works. Like for example, Chubby did Shadow City, right? And he had that sort of city building thing.
Yeah,
If I would have had that, I think that the settlement would have gotten larger quicker. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's all kinds of tools. Really, what you've got to do is you can't prompt your players. So you've got to curate your, at least your first players, you've got to curate for players who don't need prompting, right? You've got to curate, you've got to be like, who are the players that are going to be the go-getters? Who's going to be the ones that want to start their own faction, that want to conquer this, that want to rebuild this temple, that want to do all of that? Because we all know that we have players who want to be told a story and they want to roll dice to find out what happens in the
Right.
story they're being told.
Yes.
Cannot have those guys in, at least not at the beginning.
Yes.
Right.
No, I agree.
Got to have proactive players.
And that's like my in-person gaming crew. All but one are like these adventure path. That's their experience. Like they're just waiting to react to me. And I've told them I want to react to you.
Yes.
Right. I have one guy who was for the 3 years of my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign was there. He knows exactly what I'm looking for. So he's actually trying to conspire to overthrow his thieves guild. Like he's doing things, which is cool, right? But like that's it, you know. And I have one guy who doesn't even respond to my text. So every game session, I'm like, hey, dude, subtract 100 gold, 90 gold, whatever. That's how much you've spent on room and board because you didn't do shit. And he's all like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it makes perfect sense. It's been a month. You've done nothing.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, you're right. You're right. These are people who want to have that kind of experience. And I think consequences can help, but like I said, like the way things are going in this particular game, like I sort of feel like the consequences should happen like immediately, but we're not playing an always on game. So the consequences have to wait until the game session. And then I'm like, why the fuck am I doing 1-to-1 time?
You know what I would say, Matt? I would, with your game, I wouldn't talk about 1-to-1 time or downtime or make it any kind of official language, because your players, they seem to be kind of casual players,
Yeah.
right? I would put it more like, hey, if you guys ever think of something you want your character to be doing before we get together again, just send me a text. I think if you presented it to casual gamers, I think if you present it casually, you don't think so?
Not these guys.
Really?
There's a website called Notion where you can like create like a shared like note-taking table. I don't know how to describe it. We have a Notion set up, and they have their scribe plug in the note taking so everyone can see it. I can see what they're typing in, and then I put in the Notion everything from house rules to things they've discovered, this, that, and the other thing. They don't even go there to check it. I sent an email about, okay, guys, downtime. You got 3 weeks, and this also happens when you got back from your adventure. On vacation, my best friend since 6th grade goes, oh, I didn't read that email. So that's how casual they are.
Well, and that's the other thing. If you're going to do a West Marches game and everybody writes up their little pre-play book, you're going to have, if you have 10 players, one's going to read it all and another one's going to read some of it. Don't waste your fucking time. Don't fucking write anything for your players.
Yeah, no,
honestly, especially if you're doing West, don't make a map for them. Don't write anything for them. Make them do the whole thing, but make sure that your players are the kind of people that will do their own thing.
Yeah, and I would say don't be afraid to enforce consequences. Oh.
Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
I think I froze.
Okay.
Can you see me? Yeah. I was just going to say, don't be afraid to enforce consequences. I'll be right back.
All right. Matt's got to go pee. Here's the thing. Matt likes to brag about how much he can drink, but notice
I am still listening to you, mother. It's because of beer. If I was drinking bourbon, it'd be different. Anyway.
Whatever makes him feel better. You gotta coddle the talent. You're right. Every once in a while, you gotta pat them on the head and tell them they're doing a good job. Funny story. Now, you don't want to hear a funny story. What does it say here? Chubby Funster, not trying to be mean, but you are running the wrong game for these lazy fucks. Hey, Chubby, I kind of halfway agree with you. I will say I did make one big mistake. I bring it up over and over again, is that there was too much geography. Like there was too much physical space, like in-game space. I really did underestimate just how much you can fit into a 24-mile hex. And I do think I made some of the game like it wasn't scary, but I let them know like, hey, this is, you've been walking in this green forest. There is a definitive border right here. These trees are like purple and silver and black. This is different. It feels different. And they always turned away from that. So I had very cautious players. I think a lot of the caution was due to the churn in those first. Dude, we had characters dying. The graveyard, I think by session 6, the graveyard had something like 4 or 5 player characters. Um, so it's kind of one of those things. I understand them being cautious, yet at the same time, fuck them. So anyway, Matt, what'd you hear?
Um, I don't know, nothing really. I am seeing that urine is a major part of the elderly male experience. Yes, 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 it is. Um, I did want to respond to, let's see, who was it?
Oh, I
Not
also
trying.
I
Oh,
really don't want
Chubby.
to blame it all on my players though.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to blame it all on my players either. Running a wrong game for these lazy fucks. I'm not sure if he's referring to me or you.
It was us, and I don't think he's right to call them lazy fucks, but I
Yeah,
definitely think that what I intended for the campaign was possibly not communicated effectively enough to my players.
yeah, and I
You know,
think with like respect to my players, we've been gaming for like 3 decades, 4 decades. You know what I mean? Like it's really more of a beer and pretzels thing for them. So like they just it's the game is there to facilitate us hanging out. And the fact that they're trying and they do try. It's
Mhm.
just some downtime periods are better than others. Is a testament to their respect to me and wanting to make sure I'm getting the experience I want out of this.
Right.
So I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and that's one of the reasons why I don't like it when I hear people say you got to get better players. No, that's not the
I
solution. The
told you
solution.
to find new friends. Hey, I want to real quick before we forget. Chubby's last comment, it says possible solution: start hunting your player characters. They will pay attention real fast. I agree with that, Chubby. But you know what I did? This is another one of those things. I was trying to be clever in my setting. So instead of having an established setting, it was a colony. It really was, the idea was I was going to do colonial America, right? And so there was a completely unexplored land. It was a colony. There weren't a lot of people there. There was really no one to hunt them. Um, and I guess I could have, if you would have said that during the game, I would have said, fuck yeah, I'll find somebody to hunt them. But the mistake I made, and this is something that Stars Without Number drink
Oh, Jesus Christ.
has pointed out to me, is that although you want the players to move everything forward, the players are not the only thing in game that should be moving, right? You need to have those factions behind the scenes and you need to have them doing things. And I think the mistake I made is I put everything on the players, fucking everything. There, I think I wanted them to seek out NPCs in the camp, but I didn't want to tell them to do it. I think I had twice where I had sort of the leader of the colony come down and kind of say some shit and try to kind of not steer them, but explain kind of what was going on, give them a little bit of lore. And nobody gave a fuck. Nobody
Yeah,
gave
no,
a
yeah.
fuck, you know.
Well, to Chubby's point about hunting, I've actually incorporated this into the next game session because if you're familiar with Gods of the North, there is a criminal syndicate called the Nolicule Syndicate, and they're run by the Yagashan. And he has like this invisible tower, which is a dungeon that you can tackle for like level 4, level 5, level 6. And my players have been undermining all his criminal activity in Vulcangard, which is hilarious. So I have this hex crawl map, and my players all the adventure and drama is happening in the city. So I know they're not watching this. So I whipped out the first edition Dungeons and Dragons Oriental Adventures manual, and I whipped up an Kensai Sword Saint assassin hired by the Yagashan, who's going to start picking them off
Yeah.
because the iron price, the mercenary company that these guys have built and they have done all this great stuff with, and they've developed this awesome reputation, is now in direct conflict with the Yagashan. So like I'm going to start doing this shit. And I even
Yeah.
gave them in my email The Yagashan wants to talk to you. He wants to hire them. It's like, well, you've taken out 2 of my criminal organizations. I might as well try to bring you into the fold. And if you say no, I'm going to fucking kill you. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So yes, I agree with Chubby on that. It's that goes to the consequences. Right. So,
I want to say something real quick because I think it's funny because I've been watching Chubby's videos, and a lot of times when I listen to him talk about games, I'm like, bro, why are you so fucking hard? Like, he's very stringent. Like, this is how these fucking games need to be. I think he's right. I want to say I think he's right, but when you talk about, like, he mentioned getting something to hunt your players, that's not intrinsic to the system. That's something that a game master has to think of.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You've got your random rolls and you've got the system you're using, but as a game master, you need to know, when do I send in the ninja assassins? When do I drop the comet? You know what I mean? That's the, I hate to use this word, but that's the art of it.
Yes.
You know
No,
what
I
I
agree
mean?
with you. Yeah.
That is
Well,
the art of it.
do you remember a couple weeks ago, I was on a tear and I was just like, you got people arguing, rules is written and you got rule 0 guys. And I'm like, none of that is fucking relevant. What's relevant
Mhm.
is the virtues of a game master. And that's what we should be focusing on. And what you just said, the art of it. What is it about game mastery that allows you to understand when to do that? And we're talking about it right now. You have, in my case, I have players who are not as, I don't want to use the word engaged, but like they're like timid, or they just like, that's just not what they want to do in terms of downtime to like move any like plot elements forward. In your case, it was, there wasn't enough to like sink their teeth in because they had too much agency.
Fuck, man, I needed you guys to move into the next hex.
Well, we did at that one point, and I lost Brogan.
No. You needed to cross that tree line.
Oh, just cross the tree
Remember
line.
the purple and silver?
Yeah, I
the black?
remember. Yeah,
If you would have crossed it, do you want me to give it away? Because in
well,
my
hold
mind,
on.
like, a year has passed.
Well, hold on one second. I just want to say, Elf Hunter 6, good to see you. Thank you for hanging out. Have a great weekend. We really appreciate you being here. Take care, man.
Do you want me to spoil it for you? Because in my mind, a year has passed in that world. So other people have done these things.
All right. Whatever.
All right, you ready?
What's going on?
If you would have
Tell
gone
me.
to the northwest, you would have run into a group of, like, so all the elves are gone. They went to their silvery place, but you would have run into half elves, like basically a whole group of like a half elven culture.
Okay.
That would have been running buffalo style, whatever, through the plains. If you went straight in, those are the Spider Haunt Woods, and you would have started game mastering, and I would have run your wizard.
Okay.
Just kidding. And to the southwest was my halfling kingdom. If you would have gone into the necromancer, or excuse me, if you would, the dungeon that you guys avoid later, Bacon.
Bacon, thank you so much for being here,
thanks a
brother.
lot.
We
The
love you,
dungeon
man.
that you guys kept avoiding and like walking around, that was an old necromancer's monster trap for
Okay.
body parts. You would have found the book that would have unlocked the OSE necromancer class. There was a flying carpet and a portal to sort of my Incan Mayan pyramid South America place. You were always within one hex of opening the world up. But because the body count was so fucking high at the beginning of that campaign, you were too cautious. You're like, nope, not going in there.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
crossing that line, not doing it.
Well,
Hydrate.
Yes. Thank you, Bacon. And you know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow morning? Eggs and bacon, because everything's better with bacon. Everyone, if you don't know better than bacon, go to his YouTube channel and give him a like and a subscribe. Thank you. Anyway,
So
yes,
real quick, it's almost midnight.
It's possible. Anyway,
yes, it can be done. It's almost midnight. I know we got to go, but I do want to say, as far as the West Marches things go, try it. And you don't have to do one-to-one time is great if you have a lot of players. But I heard Macros on a podcast. It was an old podcast that I listened to or an old stream that I listened to recently, where he talked about flex time, where he'll tell his players, "Hey, do you want time to pass in between this, or are we just going to start up?" Because most people aren't going to have 10 players.
Right.
Barrows and Borderlands. I hope Matt. I love Matt Tapp, and I hope he understands how special the thing he has going right now is.
I think he does.
I think he does. He's a good kid. He understands. But I really hope he understands how special that is, because that's not something that you can just get going. It's something you grow. And he's even said it's his store players. It's and it's grown from there. So I think West Marches is ambitious, and I don't want to discourage anybody from doing it. But what I will say is make sure that your players are always going to run into something. You know what I mean? I gave my players a lot of wilderness. I generated everything randomly. I knew I wanted to have certain things in certain places. Just make your world smaller. Make your world. I drew a whole coastline. I should have drawn this much.
Yeah.
Instead of drawing
maybe that's nitpicky, but I do generally agree with what you're saying. And my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign was a sandbox game. It wasn't West Marches, but it was a sandbox, and I used flex time. And one of my players, Tanner in particular, he brought up one-to-one time, and I said, well, we're only playing about 2.5 hours a week, and I mean, if you got, wasn't my plan to have you guys have that many characters. And thankfully, the other players were like, yeah, we're not really interested in that. But what I did say was at the end of every session, especially when they made it back to Hamlet, I said, how much downtime you'd have. I'd always throw that out there. How much downtime do you have? Do you want to have? And they would tell me, and then we would adjudicate it in Discord. And then Thursday, we would get back to adventuring. And frankly, I just want to say for your average group of players, again, going back to who I think is actually playing this game, flex time is just fine. You don't need one-to-one time all the goddamn time.
I agree with that. Now, I will say this. There is something to be said if you're playing a fantasy sandbox game and you are fortunate enough to have a large group of people that want to play. One-to-one time is a great way to organize that.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But if you're not dealing with that kind of player base, I don't get the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really don't. If and here's the other thing. One of the things about West Marches is somebody's going to call you up and say, can you play tonight? Now, I did everything I could to schedule when I could. I got 3 kids. And when I brought up a second game master, nobody was like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Nobody, because I did bring up a second game master. You mentioned writing an adventure because you want to write it down first and put it in the book and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You weren't like, yeah, sure, I'll do it Thursday. And I do think that it does help to have players who are interested in game mastering as well.
Yeah.
And going back to the beginning of our conversation with 4D, I would feel much more comfortable trading game master duties than I would be sharing in world creation.
Motherfucker. No.
But no, my West Marches experience, I don't consider it a failure. It was 4 months. There's always something to learn. What I learned, the most practical thing I learned is make your world smaller. Other than that, just go for it, dude. Just go for it.
No,
it can be fun.
I'm actually looking forward to the Shadow Dark West Marches Kickstarter to be released because I'm going to try to reignite the Dungeons and Dads game I've been trying to do with my buddies and their kids. I think it'll be a lot more fun because there'll just be more for them to do. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like especially timekeeping, as long as you're keeping keeping strict time records, 1-to-1 time versus flex
Yes.
time is really irrelevant.
I agree. You
Keep,
must keep time records, but
but
that
how
doesn't.
you do it is going to be dependent upon the size of the group you have
Yep.
and exactly what you're doing.
And let's
So,
start a fight right here, because I usually don't contradict people, but I would say even when playing AD&D first edition, if you're rolling with 3 to 5 players and they don't bring up downtime, fuck it. Just play your game. Use flex time. That's I'm gonna go that far. I would say most games with an established group of players that play once a week should probably use flex time.
all right. With that, I'm going to ask Gary a very important question.
Yeah.
What you just said, what wrestler would best represent that?
Hang on. So my kid is a huge wrestling fan.
Okay.
Huge. My son, my 15-year-old son, he can't let that shit go. I don't know that I have a wrestler to represent that, but if I could be the most fun wrestler, it would be Joe Hendry.
Okay.
If you follow wrestling, I want you to look up Joe Hendry, because say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry, because he's the most fun. I don't think I'm a rules is written kind of guy. I think I'm a fun GM. And if I had to be a wrestler, it would be Joe Hendry, because he's got the best song. I couldn't take it too seriously.
Does he have a GIF? Because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to poke the bro SR with Joe Hendry.
Dude, Joe Hendry is the most gimmicky fucking wrestler there is, dude. They are so gonna trounce me for that. I just like the song. My kid, my oldest boy, he has been a wrestling fan forever. And if I were ever gonna try to get him into D&D, I would definitely use the Broser wrestling memes to do it. I think it's great that they use wrestling. It's one of the things I appreciate about them.
Yeah. Oh, I used I used Vince McMahon slapping somebody with B-dubs, and he got all mad. Well, I think he was playful, but you know, he chastised me. He's like, "This is reserved for Bro SR." I'm like, "Whatever, dude." But yeah, okay, fair enough, dude. I kind of agree with you on that.
But I do like the concept of 1-to-1 time. If you can ever get a lot of players, I think Matt Tapp is killing it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just talking to people that have played his game. I haven't even played in his game.
Right.
And you know, when they talk about it's like talking about other things that are good.
Yeah.
Like you know.
Well, I agree. Like, I think 1-to-1 time is a great tool for organizing massive, large games, and I think that dovetails into rules is written because you have multiple teams, blah 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 blah. But for your average gaming group, like, what is it really bringing
Matt,
to you?
I can't. We're over, and I've got shit to tell you that I can't share with the audience. Listen, I'm gonna go pee. Matt, you can say goodbye. Everybody that was here, thank you very much for being here. It's great. I love this community. We didn't do the show last week because it was Thanksgiving, and I can't tell you how much I missed it. I even got to play games. You know, I was involved with stuff, but talking to you, Matt, it's almost like going to therapy, right? I spend all week thinking about games, and I can't talk to my wife about it, but I can talk to you about it.
Can I charge you $1.75 an hour?
Fuck no.
No? Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, you lawyerly bastard. Fucking trying to billable hours. Is this show gonna cost me like $100 an hour now?
All right,
litigious motherfucker. Let's get out of here.
The Disco Barbarian is telling you what you need to do. Hit like, subscribe, bell icon. If you're on Rumble, please give me a follow there so we can avoid the bullshit of YouTube's algorithm. guys, this has been one of my favorite conversations that we've had in a while. Gary,
Every once in a while, we need to hit reset and just have a night between the bros. You know what
I
I
know
mean?
we yell at each other.
Did I yell at you tonight?
Well, we got a little testy, but that's okay. Um, yo, I'm glad I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I hope your Christmas season is starting well. Next week, we are going to have Max Liao of Legion of Myth on because
So
he's
excited for this.
yeah, he's starting up his Friday night live stream, Game Master advice, which really dovetails to what the Second Watch is all about.
Yep.
Can't wait to talk to him. And just remember, December 26th, the last stream of the year, we're going to have a bunch of giveaways. So please,
Don't
please,
say
please.
giveaway. I want these motherfuckers to.
God damn it. Gary, I'm a lawyer. Don't say shit. Anyway.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway.
Hey, I love this so much. Chubby, thanks for being here. Bacon, thanks for being here. Everybody, Disco Barbarian, man, Disco, you are on X so much and you show up to the show. It's like you are a daily part of my life. So, Disco, thank you very much. All you other guys that I can't name, just know it's because I've drank too much bourbon. But I'm very thankful. And get me out of here so I can pee.
All right, guys, our watch has ended. We'll see you next week.
Later, guys. You know, Matt, you really do smell like that in real life.